Hey there everyone. I thought I'd do a new video just on this LS swap I'm doing. The last video, I just checked, the last video I did was just getting the motor and transmission in, and that was about 7 or 8 months ago before Christmas. So I've done quite a lot of stuff since then, and the reason I'm making this video, it'll just kind of do like an overall recap of what I've done and where I'm at and the parts I've used. And I'm hoping the next video is me actually starting it, which could be sometime in the next week. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of start up front here, and then I'll go underneath and lift it up. But the last video, like I said, I just got the motor and transmission in. So from there, I've basically got everything in. Today I just hooked up the battery. Nothing blew up, so that was good. And turned the ignition on, made sure my lights worked and all that kind of stuff, because I've had basically the whole front, all the electrical wiring out in the last few months. But so what I've done here, it's a 6-liter LS2 out of a Trailblazer SS. I mentioned this in some of my other videos, but it was a project that the guy started, and it was fully rebuilt apparently, and I kind of verified that when I took the oil pan off. But it was running, so I pulled it out of a running Trailblazer SS with it had no issues, no lights or anything. I fixed everything before I pulled it. So what I've decided to go with in terms of fuel injection and computer and whatnot, I went with the FiTech system. I don't know if that's going to be the right idea or not, or if it was the right decision, but I went with it. So since then, since I purchased it, Holley's come out with some pretty cool options. But I'll make this work. Some guys have good luck. Some guys seem to have nothing but problems. But I'm hoping I'm one of the few that'll have some good success anyway. So it's FiTech. It comes with fuel rails, injectors, ECM or computer, and a fuse panel. So I've basically mounted everything under the dash and ran everything through there. I've got a grommet that'll cover all that up once I get it running. My big thing here is just to get it running, and then I can kind of fine tune all the little tweaks and kind of get it going from there. But I've got the truck accessories for now, just because I had them all. So I'd like to, in the future, reroute all this stuff, get the alternator lower, and get everything so it looks a little better. But for right now, it's the stock truck accessories. Trailblazer fuel or power steering pump. Not a huge fan of that. Just the way it sits, it's just so tight to the upper control arms, but I did manage to use all the factory hoses, so that was good. And like I said, once I change it all, I'll probably have to get a new power steering pump anyway. So, but I've got an intake on order, so I'll clean all that up. But what I've done, I've went with Speed Engineering headers. I'll just kind of probably be jumping around here a little bit, but they're a decent header, and their newest style, their old style used to kind of come up and over, had some clearance issues, but this new style that they just came out with in the last year, it fits really tight under the frame, and it hugs the block for the power steering pump or power steering setup. So I'm pretty happy with them for the price. A couple $100 off eBay, and then converted to Canadian and shipped. It was about the half the price of Holley, so it was pretty affordable. So I don't know what else to tell you up here. I went with it's the Camaro rad, aluminum rad. A lot of guys are using them, pretty cheap too. It's got bungs for power steering, for automatic transmission, but this is obviously a 5-speed, so I didn't use that. I just blocked all that off. With a Taurus fan, I had to clearance some stuff, clearance the size just to get it to fit against the would that be the water pump pulley there. It's close, but it's got all the room it needs. in some of my other videos, I did some test fits on the engine and where it sat and how I got it in there. But I did do the Camaro or the car water pump with spacer just for the outlet, just so that I could keep everything on the passenger side here. Looks a lot cleaner. And then use some hoses that kind of routed the heater core out of the way. So then one of the other mods I did too is I went from the small block heater core to the big block heater core. That way, just because the other outlets come out over here, and then you can't really see it, but I just made a nice block off plate and cleaned that all up and just gave myself more clearance. So, what else can I talk about? Fuel system. I'll show you underneath the car here, just because it's on the lift and I can do it pretty easy. I went with full return, 3/8 lines, Holley Sniper gas tank with all the fuel pump, everything inside. Looks really good, and hopefully I have no leaks. So we'll see where that goes once I turn it on here. Not sure what else I can show you up front. Didn't want to make this a super detailed video, but at least it kind of shows where I'm at. So I will move inside the car, what I did there. So in my last video, you kind of saw where I had to hack up the, I don't know how good this is going to look, but I had to hack up the tunnel just to get this all to fit. So in the meantime, since then, I cut in a new panel, made one huge panel, welded that in the best I could, did some seam sealer. I actually took footage and made a video. I just never did anything with it, but and then here, this little guy here is just an access panel. I had to take the shifter out in order to clearance to get it in. So that way, if I ever have to change it or do anything, sorry if this is super noisy, but yeah. So, and then from there, what I did. So this is the FiTech control panel. I don't know if I can turn it on or not. Yeah. So I just powered this car up today. So my next step is to get the seat in here, and then I can start putting all the information in and get it ready to start. So where I put the computer is up there underneath the dash, behind the glove box, and then can't really see it back there is the fuse panel. And then I had to make a huge relay board. Sorry if this looks horrible. Just for the relays for the fans, little power distribution block. So 2 relays for the fans and a relay for the fuel pump. So FiTech, they just recommend using a relay for the trigger. Guys were blowing things up with just running the wire directly, so I just ran a relay. And then the way I have it set up, I can put the glove box back in it. But so yeah, this is just a recap. This is a TKO 600. That's one of the new things I bought for the car and the FiTech. But for running gear, yeah, obviously the engine was used, but I couldn't find anything used that was worth buying for a transmission. So I did buy that new. So for the interior, what I'm gonna do is I wanted to maybe do that now, but I'm just gonna wait until maybe this winter. Try to get this thing running over the summer, and then do a full revamp on the interior. I want to change it all to black, and unfortunately there is one little tiny hole in the headliner. So I'll put a new headliner in and just change everything to black, and maybe do new seats. I haven't figured out what I want to do yet. So after I put in the panel, I just POR 15, just a couple coats just to kind of clean up the whole floorboards. But what I'll do here is, might be noisy for a second, but what I'll do is raise the car and kind of show you what what I got going on underneath. It's going to be a little loud, and I might edit that out, but it is pretty handy having this lift. I gotta admit. So. Alright, sorry about that. So, underneath, what I ended up having to do, so for this cross member, with this exhaust, it tucks up actually so tight that I was having clearance issues. I don't know if you can see with the light or not, but it basically ran right into the cross member. So I ended up taking it, getting some 4-inch pipe, and I don't know if you can really see it or not. I made like a channel, cut it in, welded it, and then I actually had to raise it about another 1/2 inch just to get this to clearance properly. I already had a big spacer under here in order to get my drive angle, so I had room to play with angles and moving this up and down, so that worked out. So as I said, they're Speed Engineering headers, really affordable, just stainless. They're not ceramic coated or anything, but they look pretty good, and they tuck up really tight up underneath here, so the exhaust isn't hanging down at all. And then what I went with for exhaust is the Holley 3-inch, just a kit. Didn't really have to do much. I had to cut one of these off. And one other thing to note about these headers is they kind of come out in different places. So you can see here on the passenger side, there's only about 1 inch there, but on the driver's side, there's 3 inches just the way it comes out and has to clearance the power steering and stuff. So it kind of sets off the geometry of how this is. So I had to cut one of these tubes, and basically that was it. Everything else bolted in. It's a super nice kit. All the Holley stuff's really nice. It's just if you can afford it, great. I'm trying to spend money the best way possible and where it makes sense. Sorry, I just gotta, if this is all jerky here, but so here, back here, like I said, I installed the Holley tank, super nice tank. Not that you'll ever really see it, but and then ran my fuel lines, 3/8 braided. There's my fuel filter, and just kind of ran them along. I don't know if you can actually see this or not. I'm hoping you can. So yeah, and then for the exhaust, the tips come out here. I just hit the tips with a wire wheel, and it actually kind of polished them up a little bit. So, but so that's kind of where I'm at. I am hoping to start this thing once I get all the parameters into get it into the FiTech system, make sure everything's right and ready to go, double check everything, and then yeah, heaven forbid, maybe I actually take it out on the road for a rip. I don't know. So if you have any questions, let me know. I've kind of trial and error on a few things, and if there's a few guys on YouTube that I follow that have given quite a lot of good advice. And here I just have to, there's a couple things I have to button up too. This is the reverse lights. Just have to run that back. A few things I have to research on what to do and how to hook up properly. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Like I said, the next video should hopefully be getting this thing started. So have a good day. Bye.